Hey, what's happening, everybody? Welcome back to Scents of South Jersey with me, Kellen, for another fragrance video. Today I'm going to do something I don't think I've ever done before. I'm going to do what I would consider to be a fragrance battle video where I'm going to compare two fragrances that I believe to be very similar to each other. And then in the end, after I look at, their presentations, what notes they have that are similar, their performance, head to head, give it my thoughts, I will then in the end pick the one that I think, in my opinion, would be the better buy. And of course, there are going to be some classics and hard to find. I couldn't start the first video of this series without anything less too. So what we're going to be taking a look at today is going to be the 1984 release from the House of Victor, and that is Wall Street, versus the 1984 release from the House of Panouge, and that is Businessman. Obviously, the names alone make them very similar, and we'll pit them up head to head. So before we jump into the video, if it's your first time here and you haven't seen my videos before and you enjoy the content and you have not yet subscribed, or you're a repeat visitor and you just haven't subscribed yet, please do me that huge favor. I really appreciate it, and subscribe to the channel. If you have an Instagram, check out the Scents of South Jersey Instagram page for news and updates on the channel, photos of fragrances from my collection, and daily scent of the day story posts. And if you have a TikTok, go ahead and follow Sabro88. It's completely unrelated to fragrance, but sometimes it's nice to take a break from fragrance and look at champagne savoring. So anyway, let's do this fragrance battle and compare these two. Okay, so let's take a look at the presentations for both. We're gonna start with Wall Street. I just think it's funny that they both have names that are very business, that whole thing, Wall Street versus the actual name of Businessman. Both came out the same year. It's almost like it was a decided thing to do to see which one did better, or one came out, at a different month and it was an answer to the Victor, or vice versa to the Panouge too. But let's take a look at the box. This is the box for Wall Street by Victor. Just very, very 80s looking, very leather. I always say it has the look, and we'll talk about the smell, but of a hard leather interior of a German automobile in the 80s, whether it be a BMW or a Mercedes. So you can see Wall Street here. This is an eau de toilette. This is a 100 ml bottle. On the top, you just have these lines, these silver line pattern. It's actually a really nice looking box, very solid looking, very classic. Look around here, and on the back, you don't have much going on. On the bottom, it just says Visconti di Madrone, which is the house that Victor was under. And then obviously, just like I talked about in my Acqua di Selva video, Victor is now Visconti di Madrone. They just go by that too. Here is a box for an aftershave. You can see it's virtually the same thing, except this one does in fact have more brand info on the back, whereas this one does not. This has a whole blurb about the aftershave and how great it is. And on the bottom of each box, you don't have anything. Taking a look at the bottles themselves. Now look at this. This is almost like a continuation of the box. You see this sticker that wraps all the way around. Really beautiful pattern. The V for Victor Visconti on the back there, embossed in the glass. It says Wall Street. I don't have a cap for this one, and you got some embossed glass here. The distribution. Let's spray this one out here. Very nice sprayer. And the aftershave bottle, this is full. I have not even used this one yet. You can see here, this one is a splash bottle on the bottom there, and I can just already smell it. It's so strong, and it has a nice stopper, as most of the Victor bottles do. Okay, so let's take a look at Panouge Businessman, or Panouge. I've heard Mr. Smelly say it that way. So this is an even weirder looking box. I almost think this one's more unique. It's a little bit less stunning, but it does look very of the 80s, So I don't know what this is supposed to be, either some sort of paper, typewriter paper that wraps all the way around the box and goes all the way down here. You have some information there. You have the Panouge logo there, Paris, Businessman, size and concentration. Let's take a look at the bottle here. Now, this bottle I think is very cool. It's very 80s looking, very classic. I think really like the cap. You can hold it into place like the gold strip. You can see the juice level in there. It has that same format going down the side of the bottle. It's angled interestingly, you know what I mean? It's not just a typical, square bottle or circular bottle. On the bottom, you have some embossed glass. And here's what the atomizer and the neck looks like too. So cap is plastic, but it's not like one of those super bendable cheap ones. We'll spray this one out, see the distribution. Very good sprayer. But you have to pump it twice. That's probably just a fault because it's pretty old too. So aftershave box looks exactly the same. I don't want to spend too much time on that. This is already a long presentation. And the aftershave here, I've used this one time. Same type of look, and it does have a decanter stopper, but it's gonna let you have more juice when it pours out because it doesn't have the plastic stopper in there that the Victor has. I know that was a lot for the presentation, but I just wanted to show you guys the differences. So when we talk about the notes for these fragrances, both of them have a lot of notes. So what I did, instead of listing them, this has 15 notes, this one has 14 notes, I just picked out the notes in the top, the middle, and the base that they share in common. So they both have in the top Artemisia, bergamot, and lemon. And they both have in the middle cedar and jasmine. And in the base, they both share amber, musk, and leather. So I think that the leather is very prominent in Wall Street. Very green, very oak mossy. This one is a little bit fresher, a little bit more of less of a stuffiness, but they both have a stuffy opening. But those are the notes that they share in common. So when it comes to the performance for either Wall Street or Businessman, I think they're on par. This one projects a little bit more, but this one still is a great performer. I think they're both in the 6 to 8 hour range. I definitely noticed them, at least on my skin and my experience wearing both of them, and I have worn both of them several times to work. I would say that they're both in that 8 hour range, but this one sort of comes off a little bit stronger in the projection, whereas this one isn't subtle. It's definitely not a skin scent. It'll get noticed, but I don't feel like I'm in a scent bubble for, the first 4 hours of the, fragrance's life cycle to where it's like almost overwhelming. This one projects better, but overall performance is about equal. Okay, so it's time for my overall thoughts on both Wall Street by the House of Victor and Businessman by the House of Panouge. So this is classified as an amber fougere, and this one is classified as an aromatic fougere, more of a traditional fougere. So let's talk about Wall Street. I think these both are cousins. They both came out the same year. They both have similar names that give off the professional, Wall Street stock trading, businessman, just businessman in general. I know I had mentioned that earlier, but they sort of smell similar, but there are some distinct differences. And when it comes to Wall Street, like it opens very stuffy. Let's get that opening again on the card. And when it dries down, it's so strong with the leather. The leather smells so like realistic, as if you're walking into, think Gordon Gekko's office, and he's got all those like 80s leather brown chairs with all the golden rivets all along the perimeter and edges of the chairs, or like I mentioned, that hard leather BMW interior. But the leather sofa cushions or chair cushions in Gordon Gekko's office are stuffed, and not with padding or feathers, but with oak moss. Like, it's such a strong green leather fragrance that it's almost difficult to sort of wear after a while. You can't wear enough. This is like a one spray fragrance because it's so strong. That's exactly what it smells like. Forget the opening and maybe you get a little bit of citrus in there because it has the bergamot and lemon, but it's very, very, very underwhelming compared to the base notes, which is that leather and that oak moss. That is what this scent is, and very heavy on the leather. And by underwhelming, I meant it's taken over by, not necessarily like the fragrance is underwhelming, because it's very, very unique. It's iconic. It's classic looking. Then you take a look at Businessman, and I'll actually spray this on my hand because I'll make this one my scent of the day today. And when this one opens, it's also stuffy. It's also from 1984. It also has the same type of look, the professional office guy, businessman look. But it has kind of like a more bitter opening, and it's with the leather, and that could be the Artemisia in there. I read some reviews on Fragrantica, and that's what people were saying. And, like I always say, I can't necessarily pick up notes. I'm not that of a professional. I'm a guy that likes cologne. But this one, it's more of an herbal green citrus, and it's more of a traditional fougere. This one's a little bit cleaner. There's an amber in the base, which I think helps it become a little bit of like more of a barbershop scent. It also, when it dries down, it's more of like a rugged Drakkar Noir cousin, and it's muskier, but it's definitely more classic and more, I would say, I don't want to say more mature. Drakkar Noir is a little bit more forward, where this one is like a gentleman's barbershop vibe. Think about it that way. It's a great signature scent, something you'd wear every single day. This one, you couldn't wear it every single day. You would give you a headache. I think it would be too much. Where this one is definitely an easier easier wear. And it doesn't have that super leather upholstery smell like Wall Street does. This one is like a gentleman's barbershop. You know, you could definitely rock this one every day. And it has that dry down at the very end, which I think is the best part of this fragrance, and the most unique, where it's kind of like a different take on Drakkar Noir. My girlfriend enjoyed the smell of this one in the dry down. I know she wouldn't like the opening, but I know she would hate this one all the way through. So this one though, in the dry down, you know, after it's been an hour, will really be nice and is more of a classic barbershop, where this one is just a hardcore leather and oak moss scent that gives off, you know, the Wall Street office vibe, where this one is, again, daily signature scent, businessman type of scent. All right, guys, let's recap and see which one is going to be the better buy. Is it going to be the 1984 release from the House of Victor, and that is Wall Street, or the 1984 release from the House of Panouge is a Businessman? So presentation-wise, it's almost neck and neck. I love the bottles for both of them. I love the boxes for both of them. They're so unique. I think the name Wall Street is cooler than Businessman. It's a little bit more of a general sense. Wall Street is distinct. That street in New York reminds me of the movie. Businessman, however, is a close second. I almost think I like the name a little bit better for Wall Street, but I like the bottle better for Businessman. So that's going to be a dead tie, because the bottles for both are awesome, and so are the names. They're funny and they're classic looking. I mean, like, this one though is an iconic bottle. Same with this. For some reason, I've always thought this one was a little bit cooler, but we're gonna put that at a dead tie because they're both awesome. When it comes to the performance for both fragrances, it's gonna be a tie, because around the same amount of time, you know, that 8-hour range, maybe leaning a little bit towards Wall Street, because it's got that monstrous projection with that oak moss and that leather. But the smell, as much as I love the uniqueness of Wall Street, as much as I think it smells very cool, very classic, the overall better smelling fragrance, in my opinion, has got to be Businessman by Panouge, because it's just softer. It's not as hardcore screechy leather and oak moss as Wall Street is. And you guys know I love classics. You know I like oak moss a lot. I talk about it. It's probably my favorite note. But this one, it's just more wearable. Like today, you could go out and wear this and you wouldn't feel overwhelmed. Like, this stuff leaves a cloud of monstrous projection. And it just, I don't think, is an easier wear. It's that stuffy leather, oak moss, upholstery smell that will carry with you, where this one was more of a barbershop fragrance. It's more of something that I have grown to love in terms of an aromatic fougere, the style of fragrance. It's softer. You could wear this and you don't really have to worry about it being overwhelming, where Wall Street is. Now, it's still a classic. I'm not knocking it, but I think if you were to pick one of them, especially if you're new to classics, new to fragrance, and you want to explore these vintage and discontinued fragrances, and you want to buy one that you're going to wear and you're not just buying it for a collector's purpose, go with Businessman. And I think it's easier to find, and it's a little bit, you can get smaller bottles for not that much money. So I definitely think that, they're both fantastic fragrances, but if I were just to pick one, it would definitely be Businessman. In the future, if I'm going to rebuy, it would be this one, and I wear this one way more. And they also have a body line. Like, Businessman does have a body line. They have a body spray here, and they have a bar of soap that you can get, that you can have. So, which I've never used that. This I have used though. This is great. I've brought this to the gym. And it smells very fresh and clean. It's even softer than the Eau de Toilette. And of course, they have the aftershave, which Wall Street has too. But those products are harder to find than the Businessman one too. So if you're gonna pick one, I would say, as cool as this one is, definitely go with Businessman. All right, that'll do it for my first comparison battle of fragrance video. So let me know what you guys think about the fragrances. Do you own Wall Street? Do you own Businessman? Have you tried either one of them? Do you have both? Which one would you get? Which one do you think is better? I always appreciate all the interaction in the comment section. Thank you guys so much for watching and hanging out with me today. If you haven't subscribed, make sure to do so. If you have an Instagram, go check out the Sense of South Jersey Instagram page, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Take care.